With Toy Story 5 coming to theaters, you can hardly believe that this entire universe could have been completely different. Have you ever imagined what the original version of Toy Story 1 was like? Villain. Have you ever imagined Woody being the main villain of this story? Well, believe it or not, that was Disney's central plan, not Pixar's. It may sound strange, but these two companies were not always owned by the same people, and at the beginning, Pixar was trying to sell computers. However, they made a deal with Disney to create an animated movie completely made with computer animation. The Mickey Mouse Studios wanted the film to be very innovative. They wanted something bold, in their own words. Because of that, the plan was to make Andy's main toy a villain who controlled the others and kept them scared, until the moment when a new toy would arrive, the first version of Buzz Lightyear. And believe it or not, this movie would have been much more different than you imagine, and we're going to tell you all the details right now. Accident. Do you remember the moment when Buzz falls out of the window and the whole adventure of the two toys in the house of the neighbor Sid Phillips begins? In the original version, this moment would have been completely different. Pixar's plan was to create a bet between Buzz and Woody. In the same way as in the version we see today, Andy's mom would invite her son to dinner at Pizza Planet, and then all the toys would start wondering which toy Andy would take with him. Would it be Woody or Buzz? As you may remember, Woody would be a villain, and during a handshake to confirm the bet between them, Buzz would wish Woody good luck, and the cowboy would use that moment to throw the new toy out the window and get rid of him forever. In the movie you watched, something similar actually happens. Woody becomes jealous of the astronaut getting all of Andy's attention, and then he makes a plan to knock Buzz behind the dresser. Buzz would get lost, but not forever, because Woody only wanted to go with his owner to the pizza place. But this plan, which was already wrong, becomes even worse because an accident happens and Buzz falls out the window. And keep this information in mind because we need to explain another change to show you how this story would have continued in the original version. Slinky. Do you know Slinky, that dog with the spring body? Well, in the original version, he would be a toy that was very afraid of Woody, and in order to avoid the cowboy's anger, he would even serve as the villain's henchman. But that doesn't mean Slinky would be an evil toy, not at all. He would simply be very afraid of being discarded by Woody because, apparently, Woody had already done that several times. Since he was the favorite toy, all the others would live in a kind of kingdom ruled by Woody, where only the cowboy gave orders and the others obeyed. And the toy he would use to control and scare the others would be the dog Slinky. Everything would change when Andy's mom bought Buzz. Window. Going back to the accident at the window, the toys realized that Woody was truly an evil toy and that living in fear of him was no longer possible, and that the only solution to this problem would be to throw Woody out the window the same way he did with Buzz Lightyear. At the moment when they see Buzz being eliminated by Woody, all of them would unite, climb onto Andy's bed, tie up the cowboy, and throw him out the window. It's worth remembering that Andy's bed is also an important detail in the version that made it to theaters. In the movie you watched, Andy always leaves his favorite toy on top of the bed. This is the place where the leader of the toys always stays. But when Buzz arrived, Andy knocked the cowboy onto the floor and left the astronaut in his place. That was the moment when all the conflict between the toys began. In the original plan, the toys climb onto the bed and Woody orders Slinky to remove all of them from there. But that moment was different because Slinky lost his fear. Do you prefer seeing Woody as the good guy or the villain? And for you who made it this far, we have a special invitation. Click the join button down below and become part of our exclusive group of subscribers. We have 3 plans for you to choose from. You can become a Wave Fund member and use our badges on your profile and special emojis in the channel's video comments. Or you can become a Wave Plus member and get early access to our videos and priority replies in the comments. But if you want access to our exclusive members-only videos and polls, you can become a Wave Max member. Starting at $2.99, you can become the newest member of Cinewave. Click now and get even closer to us. Revolution. In the original plan, Woody would become so angry that the other toys climbed onto the bed to face him that he orders Slinky to knock them down, but the dog would no longer agree with that and would lose his patience with the villain. That's when the toys attack the evil cowboy, tie him up, and try to throw him off the bed, but Slinky notices an opportunity. He says that in order to get rid of Woody once and for all, they need to throw the villain out the window, ending him forever. We even had this moment drawn in pencil by one of Pixar's animators at the time. But there was a problem. Disney Disney hated the original version of the film, and Toy Story was almost canceled. Disney. Now, we need to explain what happened at that time, and it was such a huge problem that Pixar almost shut down forever. As we already mentioned, Pixar didn't make animated films. It was a computer division of Lucasfilms, the same company that produced Star Wars. It's funny to think that today both of those companies belong to Disney. Back then, there was a Disney animator named John Lasseter. He really wanted the Mickey Studios to create computer animated movies, but he ended up being fired from Disney, so he helped build Pixar. At first, the plan was to assemble and sell computers, but the idea wasn't working. It was John Lasseter who realized they could make animated movies with the computers they had, and when Pixar left Lucasfilms, they made a deal with Disney to produce the first fully computer animated movie. Disney wanted a different idea that would show the power of computer animation, but when Pixar presented the original concept, the one we explained with Woody as the villain, Disney didn't like what they saw. The first idea was bad and the movie was almost canceled. Disney wasn't going to invest in a bad idea, and even the actor who voiced Woody, Tom Hanks, realized that the character wasn't working. Neither kids nor parents would like those characters, and things became even more difficult because either Pixar fixed this problem or, unfortunately, they would have to shut down the studio. That's right, Pixar almost didn't make it. It was the most difficult moment for one of the greatest animation studios in history, and they had 2 weeks to fix this problem. Hero. To save the movie, Pixar had to change the story almost completely. Woody would have to stop being the villain and become a leader who cares about the other toys. His biggest dream is to make Andy happy, and because of that, he ends up making mistakes. And yes, Woody's anger toward Buzz would still exist. He would feel jealous after being thrown onto the floor and would be afraid of being replaced by the astronaut, and yes, he would create a plan to make Buzz get lost, but he would never intend to make Buzz fall out the window. The toys would still rebel against Woody, but in the story that went to theaters, Andy ends up arriving first and taking the cowboy without really meaning to do that, because he was looking for Buzz, who unfortunately fell out the window after an accident that Woody caused by mistake. From that moment on, you already know the story. The two of them end up getting lost at Pizza Planet, they end up at Sid's house, and they make a plan to get back home. Everyone knows this story, but there are still other things we need to talk about regarding the original version of the movie, because you wouldn't believe how different this animation would have been from what appeared in theaters. Toys. To begin with, Woody would not be the cloth and plastic doll that we know from the movie. This character would actually be a marionette with strings and a hole in his back that Andy would use to imitate his toy's voice. And maybe you're wondering why the toys would be afraid of Woody. The answer is very simple. In the original version, the evil cowboy would be much bigger than Buzz. In fact, the astronaut would be a small toy while Woody would be very large, a toy that most of the other toys wouldn't be able to face. To give you an idea, just Woody's head would already be bigger than Buzz Lightyear's entire body. There was no way to face the villain alone, and that also shows how easy it would be for Woody to simply grab Buzz and throw the poor guy out the window, and that's exactly what he did. Subscribing is quick, easy, and keeps you updated with everything happening here. Let's go? Buzz. In the same image we have from the original version of Toy Story, you can see another change. Buzz didn't have the white and purple suit like the version that went to theaters. In fact, his armor was red and purple, and his wings were also different from the main version that appeared in theaters. One thing we can notice is that they also changed the size of the two characters. They made Buzz a little taller, and Woody had to shrink quite a lot in size. Another change to Buzz was his name. Yes, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command wouldn't have that name. In the original version, he would be called Lunar Larry. It's hard to imagine that one of the most famous toys in the world would have such a different name. The idea for the character was to give him some kind of connection to the moon, and he still has that connection today. The change to Buzz Lightyear was actually a tribute to astronaut Buzz Aldrin, one of the space travelers who really walked on the moon. We bet you didn't know that. Toy. But there is one thing that never changed, and this is probably one of the highest points of this animation. Buzz Lightyear would be a toy who doesn't know he is a toy, and as strange as that may sound, it is one of the biggest details in the Toy Story universe. If you pay close attention, Buzz believes he is a real astronaut and that he works for a space army called Star Command. He also believes that the box where he was bought is a spaceship and that the light on his wrist is actually a deadly laser beam that he uses as a weapon as a space soldier. Do you know why this is interesting? Because of Forky and also because of Lilypad. Do you remember that in Toy Story 4, Bonnie made a toy at school using a plastic fork, and that toy became her best friend, right? At the beginning of that story, Woody had to take care care of Forky all the time because the new toy believed he was trash. Wow, that's curious, don't you think? A disposable fork believed that he was trash and that he needed to go to the trash. And that makes us think that when toys come to life, they know what they really are. And if Buzz believed he was an astronaut, it's probably because he was created to believe that. In the same way that Lilypad from the next movie was created to believe that she alone should control Bonnie's life. Will she change her mind? Romance. Do you know Bo Peep, Woody's girlfriend? This character would not be the cowboy's girlfriend in the first version, because it wouldn't make sense since he was the villain. It's really good to think that the creators changed their minds, because now Woody is a character who not only lives a romance, but also shows us that we should root for his happiness. In the same way that we will hope he saves his friends from Lilypad's evil plans, but also returns to the arms of his beloved, although we'll have to wait until the movie arrives in theaters to find out. Before you go, take a look at the 2 videos on the screen. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!